Hi everybody, welcome back to WEDucation. I'm here today with Courtney from Broussard, and we're going to talk about their space and everything that they have to offer for wedding receptions, rehearsal dinners, and whatever kind of party you guys have coming up. So let's dive into it, Courtney. So tell us a little bit about the space. Talk through, I know you guys have several different rooms, so talk through the rooms and capacity and how typical wedding receptions are working here at Broussard's.
So we do weddings for 50 guests or more, up to about 300 for receptions. So we do start with the Magnolia Room in the courtyard space for 50 to 125 guests. And then from 125 guests to 175 guests, we would add the Josephine Room, which we are in now. And for anything over 175, we do a full buyout, which can be for up to 300. Our ceremony space can only accommodate up to 200 seated.
And that's Herman Room. Okay, perfect. And we're gonna see that in a different video, so we'll get into that in a bit as well. I know we've talked about this before. You guys can accommodate courtyard ceremonies here at Broussard's. It's just not the norm that you guys recommend.
Correct.
Since you have Herman Room across the way.
Yes. So we typically, it is something that we can do. We usually have it more so for a rain backup plan to be done either under the tent or moved into a space, one of our rooms that can accommodate whatever size group it is that is having a ceremony.
And are you guys based off of rentals and minimums, or just, is there a rental fee attached with it, or is it just right now minimums?
For 2019, it is minimums only, and 2020 will be a $1,500 rental fee, with additional food and beverage minimums that will be increased for 2020.
And you have an in-house caterer. Broussard's is owned and operated by
Creole Cuisine, and we do, each location within Creole Cuisine does provide their own catering on site.
So when they have tastings, once you're booked here, the tastings actually at Broussard's.
Yes, we do our tastings usually Monday through Thursday. We're kind of a little flexible on the time, but most of our tastings are around 4 p.m. And those are complimentary for up to 4 guests.
And we are going to take a walk of the space at Broussard's, talk through the kind of the progression of how setup might look. Mm-hmm. You guys are not, or actually, why don't you tell me what comes with the venue?
So we do provide our stations, tables, chairs, linen. It's very inclusive of what we do here. So pretty much depending on what you decide to bring in, you would bring in your band, your DJ, florist, any additional decor that you're interested in having. But we have the linen that's on the table is what we provide, so it's a knee-length linen, and the Chiavari chairs are in the Josephine Room as well as the Magnolia Room. We do have our high back chairs that we have in Napoleon most of the time, as well as our bistro chairs that are in the courtyard.
And are the linens in Broussard's also, they're not to the floor either, are they?
No, so okay. All linen that we provide is knee length.
Okay, perfect. And tell me a little bit about, I guess, the inquiry here, what you guys are kind of looking for when guests call in. I think we're kind of getting the point each time we do a video with vendors and venues that these girls are kind of learning what they need to provide. But for you guys, what do you want them to know when they're inquiring before they even come into the space?
It's important for us to know the guest count or a range, just so we know that we're showing you the correct space for what you're looking for, whether it's seated or reception style, and whether you're looking for ceremony and reception or reception only is what typically, and the time of year is a little bit helpful, but that can definitely range.
Now I know you guys do rehearsal dinners as well, and I know capacity reception style. What about the rooms for seated dinners if they're looking for a rehearsal dinner space?
So for rehearsal dinner space in the Josephine Room that we're in is 40. That's our maximum for this room. The room behind us, Napoleon Room, would be 120, and we can also kind of use this room as overflow for up to 160, and the Magnolia Room over to our right would be 60 seated for that room. And for rehearsal dinners, that's we don't do rehearsal dinners in the courtyard just because of the elements, and as far as seated serve, it's a little bit more difficult to do in the courtyard.
And a tent is not included, but it's encouraged.
Yes.
Correct.
So I do let everybody know on our site tours that I definitely recommend that if you're going to book the space, that you inquire about a tent right off the bat and place a hold. It's just kind of a insurance policy to make sure that everything is going to be covered for your day, and you typically make that call like 48 to 72 hours out.
Yeah, and I know a lot of that depends on the rental company, so definitely want to keep that kind of in mind as well. Tell us what sets you apart from the other venues in the city.
So for us, I get a lot of feedback relating to that you get a true New Orleans vibe at Broussard's, and our courtyard, of course, is our biggest selling point. But each room really has its own feel and is different from the next, so I think that that kind of sets us apart as well.
And you guys have a great location. You're in the French Quarter, so just a block off of, or a half a block really off of Bourbon. So we have a lot of hotel room blocks to choose from around here as well, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
Walking distance to the Ritz, the Royal Sonesta, two of the main ones that I use for room blocks here, so awesome. Anything else that the viewers should know about when, you know, looking at this venue? We are kind of seasonal in the sense of it being a courtyard, so summertime is a little bit slower for us, and depending on whether you're doing your ceremony on site or doing it off site, that is kind of a factor for us as well. Since we do only sell Herman Grima as part of a Broussard's reception, we don't typically sell them separately. Okay, that's good to know. And we'll get more into that on the Herman Grima side. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Courtney. And we will be taking you guys on a tour right now, so come along with us. That concludes our tour of Broussard's. I hope you'll stay tuned after this for the full-on kind of guided tour by Courtney, so you can actually hear everything she said. And tune in to WEDucation every week on YouTube. Like us, subscribe, share. Also email me with any kind of vendors, venues that want to be featured, and also any clients that have questions. Anything you want us to cover on this channel. Thank you so much, Courtney. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. How often do I look at you?
In 3,
Just
2,
keep going.
1, go.
I was like, so don't look at him, look at the face.
Okay.
Or me.
Or you? Okay.
Hold on.
Is the bar
Okay.
open?
Yeah. Do you need a drink?
Maybe.
You have a sparkle on your nose, so it.
What is it?
It's a sparkle.
That's the shot right there. You picking Kelly's nose. This is great. All right, here we go. 3, 2.
Broussards. We're gonna start our tour over here. So this is our beautiful foyer, which if we are doing a full buyout, you can utilize this space as a guest book area to either do over here or to our right as well. So as guests are arriving, depending on if you have one of our certain packages or above, we do offer champagne passed as your guests arrive. So I'll bring you now to the Napoleon room. So this is our Napoleon room that is utilized with a full buyout. In this room, typically on these side of the pillars and back is where we do most of our seating. And then we do set up food stations in this room also, and in the Magnolia room, which I'll show you later. And these were the specific chairs that I was referring to that we typically keep in this room, but we do have flexibility in moving those chairs also. So I'll bring you back now to the Josephine room once again. And in the Josephine room for a wedding, we can utilize this room for a couple of different things. Some people like to place their cake in front of the window, depending if this is the room that you prefer more so than the Magnolia. So in this room, we do typically leave the square tables just because it is a little bit more narrow. So if we are doing some seating in here, we can do typically up to 6 tables of the squares in this room. And I'll bring you outside to the courtyard as well. And with a full buyout, or even if we're not utilizing this room for a full buyout, we would open at least 2 of the 3 doors, depending on the size of the event. So out here in the courtyard, this is our wisteria area, which we typically leave kind of as a lounge seating in this space. If we aren't doing a full buyout, we can do a bar in the back facing the courtyard as a secondary bar. So anything over 125 guests, we do like to set up a second bar. And this is the oldest living wisteria in the French Quarter, which will be blooming in about probably a month. So this is the main part of our courtyard. With that 40 by 40 tent that we were discussing, it would start about here, just because the side of the buildings, we can't push it any farther back towards the restaurant from that end. So usually for a wedding, we wouldn't have this many tables or chairs, so this is set for our brunch service right now. We do typically have a bar right here that's set up, which that can be adjusted depending on the floor plan, but that's typically where it goes. It's a nice in-between space from the Josephine room and the Magnolia room. And back here, towards the palm trees, would be where your band or DJ would set up, just because of the electrical outlets. It kind of makes the most sense for them to be back here. And there is about 30 feet of width for them to be able to set up in order to not come out too far into your dance floor. We do have our fountain as well. We have uplighting in the courtyard and festoon lighting that can be used as long as we don't have a tent. If you do have a tent, that is something that they can add into the tent, would be additional lighting with the street lighting. We'll take a look in just a moment at the Magnolia room also, which is attached to the courtyard and has the large arch windows. And seating in the courtyard, we can do up to about 50 seats. We try not to do any more than that just because it does overcrowd the courtyard space in order to create a great flow for the room. All right, and this is our Magnolia room, which was originally the horse stables to the Herman Grimmer property, which we will be taking a look at. For a full buyout, we do additional food stations in here to have double food for larger groups, to ensure that there's as short of a line as possible. In this room, we can do up to 6 round tables, which is 36 seats. And we do utilize the Chiavari chairs in here also. And most of our clients do like to have their cake set up in front of the fireplace because of the mantle, which you can decorate however you please. Now we're gonna go take a look at our Empire Bar, which is another great selling point of doing a full buyout. People love the Empire Bar. So the Empire Bar, typically, the chairs here are removed to ensure that there's plenty of space for all of our guests. We can also remove these tables over here to the right, or keep them if you'd like, but sometimes we do high tops over on this side just to create more walking space and space for the guests to be able to mingle. And this space will lead us back into the foyer.